This is unreal.
The weather, an uncontrollable force, giving us life and taking it away. As our planet heats up, the weather is getting more extreme.
Guys, we've got cars floating again.
More terrifying.
Avalanche! Avalanche!
And even more catastrophic.
If you're the praying type, please just pray for us, because this is really scary.
With incredible self-shot footage.
I thought Titanic came into my head.
From the front line of fear.
The biggest challenge we have is going against Mother Nature.
It's an extremely challenging environment.
We witness firsthand.
What I was feeling was burning from inside out.
The wrath of Mother Nature.
I was saying everything's going to be okay, even though in my head I knew that was a lie.
I'm getting out of here.
It's like your brain doesn't understand what you're seeing.
From twisted tales of terror.
I don't want to die in my store.
Death was right around the corner.
Earth-shattering natural disasters.
It's an earthquake.
You're dicing with danger. If you're in their way, you die.
And stories of sheer destruction.
Oh my God!
It's all gone.
It looks like World War II.
We meet the people who've stared death in the face.
We're not going to get out of this alive.
And survived the full force of the world's deadliest weather.
Really kicking our ass.
Coming up in this episode, a record-breaking cyclone wrecks Fiji.
This was a natural disaster of epic proportion that we were right in the middle of.
Leaving people on the islands with nowhere to run.
Really kicking our ass.
A pleasure cruise ends in disaster. As catastrophic engine failure leaves it stranded in a storm.
I thought Titanic came into my head. It was all unbelievable.
And a kite surfer pushes his luck during Storm Callum.
Glad to be alive.
Fiji, a collection of over 300 tropical islands in the South Pacific, and destination for travelers searching for crystal clear waters and idyllic white sandy beaches. British backpackers George Burke and Maddie Fry visited the Fijian island of Koro in January 2016 to work on a volunteering project.
I first decided to go to Fiji at the end of school on a gap year. I wasn't disappointed when I got there. I thought it was amazing. The country's absolutely stunning.
If you literally imagine paradise, that's what it was like. And everyone there is so friendly, and it was such a cool experience.
We were teaching in the schools, we were playing sports, the weather was absolutely amazing.
They were on the island for just 4 weeks when a tropical cyclone named Winston begins to loom in the South Pacific Ocean.
That day was completely different. It was dark and it was cold. I'd see men boarding up their windows. They were hammering planks of wood to their windows. That made me a bit alarmed. I realised it's going to be pretty big.
On a hotel resort in neighbouring island Gamia is scuba diving instructor Chad Sinden.
Part of our job is to monitor the weather, as any good dive operation does, and we knew the storm was incoming. It was classified as a Category 4, and it was just due to miss us, and then overnight it was upgraded to a Category 5. We were just completely unprepared for how quickly the storm would arrive and the intensity in which it would arrive.
The cyclone gathers strength over the warm waters of the South Pacific and is now on a direct path towards the islands of Fiji. On Koro, George and Maddie take refuge in one of the few brick houses on the island, praying that its solid walls will keep them safe.
There were about 20 people in the room that was no bigger than the standard size living room in a UK house. I was saying everything's going to be okay, even though in my head I knew that was a lie.
I don't think it's that bad, man.
This was a natural disaster of epic proportion that we were right in the middle of. Literally nothing could be done to help us in that scenario.
It was kind of getting progressively worse. The noise was getting a lot louder. We just remember seeing a lot of flooding. The wind was actually picking up seawater. Outside, you couldn't really see anything. It was really hazy. You could just hear this loud whistle of winds going past.
Also on Coral, seasoned travellers Mike and Samantha Mudd take shelter in a house they believe is built to withstand cyclones.
People kept telling us that Coral Island was the safest area for cyclones. We got a phone call about 6 a.m. from our neighbor, and she was crying, and she was saying, we're gonna be hit by this huge storm, and there's nowhere to run.
Figured it's not gonna get much worse than this. And then the wind just kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier.
Meanwhile, Chad and his mate Sammy are enjoying their close encounter with a tropical cyclone.
I've never ever seen wind as strong as this. The door is getting smashed.
We thought this is quite a unique experience, this will be fun. And we started to run around with our cameras.
Winston's really kicking our asses now. The door is absolutely chaos.
We were kind of having fun running around in our flip-flops with a hard hat on, of course. Safety first all the time, you must wear a hard hat.
The noise was just like this massive, like, howling wind. Things getting thrown about, and I don't know what was going on, but obviously everything was just getting torn apart, so you could kind of hear like bangs and crashes.
I just couldn't get over how loud the whole thing was. Like a jet engine was, was just outside the door. You start seeing things large and things that shouldn't be flying. It was apocalyptic. Everyone in the group was worried, panicked. We were thinking, what do we do? Some of the girls were crying, some of the boys were crying. Anxiety was just gripping at us, and we just wanted to be safe.
Mike and Samantha Mudd's cyclone-proof house is being tested by wind speeds of around 185 miles per hour and a lethal build-up of pressure.
The wind was blowing in such a way that we could feel it in our spines, vibrating every part of your body.
And the air pressure, it's like when you go in an airplane and your ears start hurting and you feel like your head is going to explode.
The house fills up with pressure. The wind blows in and it's not able to escape. So it felt as if the house was a balloon that was filling with pressure until walls started popping.
It was literally just rattling the entire house. And that was when I started feeling really afraid. That's the wind ready to pull the roof off. What are we gonna do? The roof is gonna come off.
Back at his resort, Chad throws caution to the wind and makes the disastrous decision to head out into Cyclone Winston for one last time.
The storm's really intensifying now.
Really bad idea being outside.
Probably not good staying under a coconut tree.
We'll do one more lap of the resort, just to make sure the guests are there.
No damage to the resort.
To make sure there are no locals that are also injured or caught under trees or anything like that.
Just walking round to see if anybody's been injured. Really kicking our ass.
So we were walking around, spinning around wildly, looking at trees sort of blowing over, branches flying through the sky.
Little does Chad know, he's about to become Winston's next target.
A huge branch landed directly on my head and knocked me out to the floor. I remember going down with a sickening thud.
Also feeling the full effects of Winston's wrath, the roof of Mike and Samantha's safe house.
When the roof came down, we all dove into the bathroom. I just kind of got into fetal position. The cyclone is not outside anymore, it's inside. We felt completely helpless. My biggest fear was how much it would hurt. If I'm gonna die, I hope this is a painless death and a fast one.
Later, we see how Cyclone Winston became the biggest storm ever to make landfall in the southern hemisphere.
As soon as those waves take you, you all got.
We need a chopper, mate. We need a helicopter. This is ridiculous.
We're not going to get out of this alive, surely.
March 2019. The Viking Sky cruise ship is heading towards London after visiting the northern tip of Norway. The ship is carrying almost 500 crew members and over 900 passengers. On board are friends Mark and Angie from the UK.
I've been on 62 cruises, including Viking. Throughout most of the cruise, the weather was wonderful.
We'd been on the ship for 10 days and been on some amazing tours.
Also on board is Californian Alexis Shepherd with her wife and friends.
The purpose of this Viking Sky cruise was to go see the Northern Lights. We noticed that the seas were getting high enough that we could actually see them out the window. And so we commented that, gosh, the waves are getting pretty big.
The ship is sailing through a storm along the Harstad-Vika coast, a notoriously dangerous stretch of Norwegian coastline with shallow water and many reefs and little islands.
The seas, they were quite dramatic. And it started getting rough, or rougher, I should say, fairly quickly. It was shortly after that that the ship lost power. Then, of course, it was at the mercy of the wind and the seas. So it was then being pushed towards shore and pushed towards the rocks.
With all 4 engines shut down, the ship is now dead in the water.
Everything started sliding about. The ship made this 40-degree roll. I knew this is not normal. I was hanging on like grim death to a glass balcony beside my chair.
Oh my goodness! People were being knocked down by the furniture and the ceiling was falling down. It immediately went from being fun and being funny to, oh my goodness, this is serious. The seas were about 30 feet. That's the height of like a 3-story building. People were crying because some people were injured or been tossed against a piece of furniture, or the piece of furniture came after them.
Lifeboat station.
The general alarm went off, and it was lifeboat stations. It's something that you never actually expect to be said to you. We can't be going in the boats, surely not in this weather. They wouldn't try to launch the boat.
The ship was coming apart at the seams in places. The captain announced that he had actually issued a mayday. That means the ship is in danger of sinking. Mayday is like, help, we can't help ourselves.
We had no power. We'd lost power to all 4 engines and we were drifting towards the rocks. And if we hit them, there was nothing anybody could do to save us.
The captain drops the anchors, but 15-foot waves are forcing the rescue boats back to shore and rendering the lifeboats useless.
They couldn't launch the lifeboats, and I moved further down, but a huge wave just smashed in the door. 30 of us were just underneath this wave. The lights on the jackets were flashing, and we were just surging en masse forward along with all the furniture, just scrambling, trying to make sense of what had happened. The thought Titanic came into my head. I'm in a ship, I know I'm still in the ship, but I'm underwater. What's going on? And one of the crew started shouting, "Get up onto a higher deck, get up onto a higher deck."
With lifeboats no longer an option, Norway sent 6 of their 14 rescue helicopters to evacuate passengers. Helicopter rescue swimmer Alvin Finn is one of many flying in to help.
My first thought was, wow, is this for real or is it an exercise? The wind speed was about 50 knots when we arrived, which is a full storm. It's like thousands of reefs there. Some you see and some you don't see, they're just under the surface. It's the worst area where something like this can happen. My biggest worry was that the anchors would not hold and the boat would drift onto a reef and maybe tip to a side. The main challenge was the amount of people. Also, a lot of them were old.
Alexis is hunkering down in the forward muster station, the ship's theatre.
You got 500 people-ish sitting in these seats with life jackets on with nowhere to go. Worst case scenario was that we were going to die. You know what? We're not that far from the rocks, and the wind and the waves are still pushing, and if those anchors break loose, we're going to be in trouble. You're literally completely helpless.
On the top deck, helicopter rescue operations continue.
If the helicopter is not in place, where it has to be relative to the boat, the person can either hit the wall or the fence on the other side.
After encountering water inside the ship, Angie is next in line for a helicopter rescue.
I was just so cold, just couldn't stop shivering. I was just shaking because I was just dripping wet. The helicopter winch was so noisy, and as we stepped out onto the deck, I just thought, I don't want to do this because it was very windy, it was so cold. We couldn't hear anything, but it was indicated to us very clearly that you hang on tight, you keep your elbows in and shut your eyes. And after a while, I thought, we're not moving up anymore. I want to be there now. We seem to be dangling on this rope a long time. So I opened my eyes, which was not a good thing to do because I could then see we were spinning round and round and round and also swaying a lot. So I shut my eyes again, and shortly after that I just remember feeling the back of the helicopter underneath me. I was just numb and it was all unbelievable.
After 5 hours, 100 passengers have been evacuated. But back in the theatre, there are still hundreds of passengers waiting for rescue.
There were some people that were just, I want to go next, I want to go next, I want off this ship, get me off this ship. And then there were people like us who said, nope, we don't want to go for a helicopter ride.
After over 16 hours in the theatre, the tide turns and the storm starts easing off.
In the morning, we had been successfully attached to the tugboats. That was probably the first time that there was this collective sigh of, It was emotionally and physically exhausting.
Helicopter rescue operations were suspended after airlifting 479 people. And the ship was towed to the port of Molde, where 16 people were taken to hospital for treatment.
In 35 years of cruising, I've never experienced anything quite like this.
We worked for 10 hours and then I rescued 42 people. We just do our job like everyone else. We are no heroes.
The sea is powerful. You can't argue with the sea.
The weather doesn't care what the forecast was. The weather is going to do what it's going to do, when it's going to do it. The fact that a ship as big as that could get in trouble from the weather as quickly as it did just reasserted that Murphy's Law still works. That if it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Still to come. In Fiji, Cyclone Winston gets too close for comfort.
You realise how much you want to live in these situations.
And destroys everything in its path.
We said our goodbyes and, said I love you and, this is it.
Avalanche! Avalanche!
Plus a deadly avalanche spells disaster in Spain. Mother Nature can be a brutal, unforgiving force. But some clever folk have learned to embrace the elements and use the weather to their advantage. It's 35 degrees in New South Wales, Australia, and this science-mad dad is using the sun to cook his breakfast.
Look at that. Wow.
It takes no time for the blazing sun to take effect.
Oh. It's hot.
Served on a slice of bread, sunny side up with a pinch of salt, and voila, breakfast is served. In Cape Town, South Africa, this ecstatic woman is welcoming the rain after a drought by washing herself, her driveway, and her car. In Dallas, Texas, professional skydiver Michelle Niramandrad is harnessing the wind's power to create awesome aerial art. Free-falling from 13,000 feet, with canvases strapped to her arms and leg, she releases the paint to create abstract artwork, which she calls Captured Sky. After deploying her canopy, she floats back down to land with some new masterpieces to proudly display on her wall. One man who relies on the awesome power of the wind is three-time European kitesurfing champion Ollie Bridge from Exmouth in the UK.
Kitesurfing is a wind-related sport, so the weather is really important. When we're looking at the weather forecast and we see that there's a storm on the way, we always get quite excited about that because it means it's going to be really windy and rough. There's nothing quite like it.
And for Ollie, the windier the better. So when Storm Callum hit in October 2018, he and his brothers decide they have to take it on.
We woke up on the day of Storm Callum and it was high tide and the waves were crashing over the seafront wall, which doesn't happen often. So we loaded the cars and headed straight down to the beach. I just think excited.
With winds of up to 76 miles per hour, Callum is battering Britain.
Day one, Storm Callum, blowing a gale, 30 to 40 knots.
Whilst most Brits are hunkering down at home to avoid the storm, Ollie does the opposite, despite the dangers.
Worst case scenario is if your kite deflates on the water or you snap a line and then you're stuck out at sea. The weather can change instantly and it would be dangerous. If we're high up in the air and something breaks, it's going to lead to injury, and there is a possibility that something serious could happen and maybe that I could drown.
Regardless of the risks, Ollie and his brothers are still going head-to-head with the storm. But Mother Nature is wildly unpredictable, and a sudden change in wind direction could slam Ollie into the water, causing serious injury.
The adrenaline is quite different when there's a storm. A lot of wind and a lot of rain hitting you. Sometimes the rain really hurts because it's coming so hard against the side of your face. I think the wind was 40 plus knots. It gets crazy rough.
Ollie wants to use the 40-knot winds to propel him up to 80 feet into the air. Miraculously, he escapes the wrath of the storm unscathed.
Glad to be alive. All I can say.
And if he can survive Storm Callum, Ollie can use the power of the wind to do anything. Like taking on the European record for the highest jump just 4 months later.
I jumped 28.5 metres, and that's the European record at the moment. It makes me feel proud of myself.
Next stop, the world.
Hopefully, in 2024, I'll be able to represent Great Britain at the Olympics.
And it all comes down to just one thing.
You can't underestimate the sheer power of the storms and the weather we get, but it has made myself a career in professional kite surfing, and I'm really grateful for it.
When wind and pressure are combined, they create a weather system capable of catastrophic destruction. Earlier, we saw brutal 185-mile-per-hour winds pummeling the islands of Fiji with a fierce Cat 5 storm named Cyclone Winston.
Really kicking our ass.
Despite the grave danger, diving instructor Chad Sinden is outside in the cyclone's eye wall, and he soon finds himself on the direct firing line of an 8-foot-long tree branch.
I remember a moment of blackness. The tree branch actually split the hard hat, cracked it, and also split my forehead open. I could feel the blood trickling down my brow. I realised that I had been ridiculously naive at running around in a storm in the first place. Realised that I'd been completely irresponsible as far as my family at home was concerned. There was definitely a doubt whether I'd survive, whether I'd see another day. And it's really quite a sombering thought. You realise how much you want to live in these situations.
Husband and wife, Mike and Samantha, prepare for the worst as Cyclone Winston fully engulfs their home.
We had a very intimate moment where we said our goodbyes and, said I love you and, this is it. And however it happens, it's been good. It's been a good life together.
But suddenly, their luck changes. With the arrival of the calm eye of Winston.
Suddenly, the wind just stopped, and it was sunny. And so we stepped outside, and this was the eye of the cyclone.
The calm eye is also a brief respite for George and Maddie and their fellow volunteers. But with a deadly storm surge and second eye wall almost upon them, they have to act fast.
It was in the eye of the storm, in the calmest moment, that we made the decision to leave the house and get to higher ground.
So we all decided to go to the church because that was the main building in the village. That was probably going to be the most sturdiest. We could see what had happened outside, what all those noises meant. The first time I saw how much had been destroyed in such a short space of time, it just broke me.
Winston's winds unleash lethal waves up to 40 feet high, threatening to crash into coastal villages and destroy everything in its path.
It was just a case of run from the waves. We were looking over our shoulder and just charging away from them. because as soon as those waves take you, you're gone.
We need a chopper, mate. We need a helicopter. This is ridiculous.
We all congregated outside the church, and it was just a mass panic. Where do we go? What do we do?
And that's when I remember turning towards the sea and seeing these huge waves. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And I genuinely remember thinking in that moment that this isn't, like, we're not going to get out of this alive, surely.
Up hill.
Everyone just kind of shouted, like, right, just run, and just run for higher ground. And luckily behind the village was like a huge hill.
Okay, watch it. You're under, you're good. Watch it, Maddie. There you go.
Either you deal with what's in front of you, or you collapse under the weight of all the pressure.
You're going to be absolutely fine, Matt, honestly. You're going to be fine.
George was very calm. He kind of took my hand and was like, okay, Mads, you can do this, come on. I just froze, I just completely panicked. I couldn't think straight.
You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
They finally find sanctuary in a house on higher ground. But the danger is far from over, as now they must wait out the second eye wall.
We took shelter in the house overnight. There were about 70 to 80 of us hunched up. The storm continued to intensify, and the sounds and objects flying past the window were just the same as they were before. But it wasn't until I woke up the next morning that I went out the door. Literally, it's no longer anything recognisable. And I just saw complete destruction and silence, eeriness. There wasn't a bird in the sky, there was nothing. It was just complete paradox from the night before.
Destruction to the once lush green islands of Fiji is widespread and devastating.
It looked like a nuclear bomb or something like that. It went from a lush green island to just desert.
I remember walking outside the next day, head on my hands, staring at disbelief, bewilderment at all the chaos, the trees. Once was an idyllic Fijian resort, just smashed to pieces. It was like a naked hill, and I remember feeling an immense sense of sadness.
And the effects aren't just felt on land. They are also disastrous for marine life.
Fiji is famous for its soft corals. It's the soft coral capital of the world, and I was very keen to see what happened to our local reefs. There was a small path under the direct storm which was absolutely destroyed. For me, that was very emotional, seeing this marine life completely eradicated. It was gone. It was just a sheer, bald rock.
Volunteers George and Maddie returned to the island of Koru 1 year later.
Thankfully, we had the opportunity to go back and help rebuild. And honestly, that was one of the best feelings ever.
It was closure. Being able to go back and actually contribute to helping them to rebuild the village was such a nice feeling.
All the problems we have in modern day life are entirely constructed and don't really matter. Now, I don't really get worried when I'm stuck in traffic or things don't go my way, because in the bigger picture, does it really matter? Not really.
Cyclone Winston is the biggest storm ever to make landfall in the southern hemisphere. 44 people lost their lives. Entire villages were destroyed. And Winston caused $2.5 billion worth of damage.
I did not expect to have a Cat 5 come through. I did not expect to get hit by a tree. I didn't expect to have this new lease of life that I've had since then. I think on a different day, in different circumstances, if I'd been hit by a tree branch that size without a hard hat, I think my days would have been numbered for sure.
We did not expect to go out to this island in the middle of the Pacific and face death. Nature is not something to mess with. You have to take nature seriously.
You just realize in those moments that you're completely out of control, and if Mother Nature wants to take you away, you have absolutely no power over that.
Bordering France and Spain are the Pyrenees. Extending for 300 miles, with peaks of over 10,000 feet, and a vast array of off-piste slopes, they are the perfect playground for skiers. And for Spanish friends Aran and Alès, it's all about getting off the beaten track.
Yo desde pequeño he empezado con la tabla, empiezas a descubrir lo que es el fuera pistas. La primera vez que pruebas la nieve polvo es como una pequeña droga.
Cuando estás deslizando por un terreno que es como que no ha tocado nadie aún, que está virgen, pues es como una sensación súper bonita.
Craving that off-piste excitement, in February 2019, Aran and Elise, along with friend Tommy, headed to one of their favorite mountains, Two de la Llanca.
Estar ahí arriba viendo todo el paisaje es espectacular. Te empequeñece, es muy pequeñito al lado de todas las montañas.
Watching on from an adjacent peak is mountain guide Roger.
That day I had a large group to guide. We decided to go for a southern slope, and I spotted 3 skiers, and they were ready to drop in and ski a really steep slope.
Unaware of their audience, the friends begin their run, with Aran leading the way.
Dropping. No había muy buena sensación, la nieve no reaccionaba como debería.
Ya bajó Aran, haciendo sus curvas y así, y luego ya...
Me giré para mirar a ver a Tommy, empecé a hablar con él de bueno, aquí no estamos seguros, mejor salir rápido de aquí.
Be careful, up. No, it's not good.
A recent storm has dumped 20 inches of snow, disguising the weakness of the snowpack underneath, meaning it can break away easily.
Y luego bajé yo y ya vi que se me abría toda la montaña por delante.
Y nada, fue girarme y en cuestión de segundos ya se veía que, por ejemplo, la nieve ya desprenderse por encima del precipicio, por detrás nuestro. Fue cuestión de nada, 3 segundos, ya teníamos la nieve encima. Nos golpeó brutalmente.
Avalanche.
Esto de estar tragando nieve, de ver solo blanco y negro.
Te cubre, bueno, es como una ola del mar, ¿no? Como si estuvieras en el... Entonces no te desubicas, sabes que estás bajando porque es la única dirección en la que puedes ir.
Que no me pasa por la cabeza, era intentar sobrevivir.
Y al final es tan rápido que con solo un pensamiento ya ocupa todo el tiempo. No puedo morir. Hoy no.
Apenas paró la avalancha, que ya estaba pensando la suerte que había tenido de que estaba todo bien. Yo estaba enterrado por la cintura.
Incredibly, despite being caught in the tidal wave of snow, both Elise and Tommy are able to claw their way free of the deadly avalanche. But Aran is not so lucky. For many skiers, the lure of going off-piste is irresistible. In Colorado, the US, this group are halfway down a regular run when they decide to explore the neighboring forest instead. They take their time and plot out a potential route before setting off into the unknown.
Holy!
And straight into danger. Despite the scare, the man navigates his way down to safety, unhurt. Going off-piste means greater risk of unknown snow conditions. This snowmobiler is heading up a steep slope in Montana, the US, when a huge section of snow shears off, sending him and his snowmobile tumbling down the mountain. Thankfully, he was unhurt. In the Czech Republic, a man and his girlfriend are enjoying some off-piste skiing. When suddenly the snow gives way beneath his skis. The man acts quickly, inflating an emergency airbag, which helps keep him above the torrent. He grabs a passing tree and manages to cling on, and survives the ordeal without being buried beneath the avalanche.
Avalanche!
But back in the Pyrenees, snowboarder Aran is in grave danger.
Una vez ya sepultado por la nieve, aprieta, te aprieta, te aprieta hasta que no puedes respirar bien, no quieres morir y esperar y confiar en tu compañero. En este caso era Lace y Tommy, confiar en que no estuvieran sepultados y de que te iban a salir.
Aless and Tommy have freed themselves, but have no idea where their friend is.
Pongo el DBA, que es el detector de víctima de avalanchas, en modo búsqueda. Y ya me pongo de pie y empiezo a hacer como unas zetas para intentar encontrar la señal de Aran.
As Aless frantically searches for Aran, Tommy tries to get in touch with the rescue services.
Y hablamos con Tommy, fue él el que fue a buscar señal con su móvil, intentando llamar al helicóptero, pero no teníamos señal de cobertura.
En el que estoy en el agujero, yo de ninguna manera soy consciente de si alguien me está buscando o no. A los 4 minutos me quedo inconsciente.
Witnessing the horrific events unfolding, Roger realizes it's up to him to get help.
My first thought was to take my radio, call the rescue.
With the rescue team notified, but still at least 20 minutes away, Aless and Tommy continue their search for Aran, but time is quickly running out.
Una víctima, si está enterrada, son unos 15 minutos que tiene posibilidades de salir con vida, luego ya baja muy rápido.
It was very, very frustrating because I was just looking at them and just counting up the minutes, how the time was going.
Here. 1. Yeah, 1.6. 1.5. 1.4. 1.2. Here. Probe here. Must be here.
Y empezamos a cavar. Vimos la cara y al principio parecía que estaba inconsciente.
Aran, respira.
No sabíamos si respiraba, pero ya le puse la mano cerca de la boca y ya noté que estaba respirando muy flojito. Yo le decía que fuera haciendo ruido y así para yo darme cuenta de que estaba consciente.
Molt bé.
Y luego, intentamos, yo calmarle lo máximo que podía.
Perfecte, Aran.
Aleix y Tommy me sacaron, Aleix todo el rato apoyándome de vale, están aquí los bomberos, no sé qué, hablándome todo el rato. Recuerdo eso, el sonido del helicóptero.
Thanks to Tommy and Aless's furious digging and Roger's SOS call, disaster was averted.
Si Roger no hubiera llamado, los bomberos hubieran tardado mucho más en llegar y la cosa habría acabado un poco diferente.
I was very happy I could help.
Aran was flown to the nearest hospital where he was treated for hypothermia and was released the next day.
Es algo que en cierto modo sí que he aprendido bastante de esto. Hacerle un poco caso al instinto que diría instinto animal.
Hemos vuelto a esquiar los tres ya, pero a la vez me pone muy nervioso porque si pasa otra vez no sé si vamos a tener la misma suerte.
We've seen how powerful the weather can be. But it can also be weird and wonderful. Like this supercell cloud in Texas, with its persistently rotating updraft, sweeping across the sky over several hours. Its huge disk formation has drawn comparisons with an alien spaceship. As the storm passed near cities and towns, pictures of the supercell mothership soon flooded social media. Clearly, they want to believe. There's Instagram-worthy skies in Virginia too. The colors of a sunset or a sunrise are the result of a phenomenon known as scattering. The sun's rays change direction by small particles in the atmosphere. The shorter wavelengths, such as blue, are scattered, whilst red, with its longer wavelengths, enter our eyes. Hashtag no filter. From pink skies to pink lakes. No need to adjust your TV. This is Hutt Lagoon in Western Australia. The pink hue is caused by a certain type of algae, which is also used as a natural food colour. And it's only one of many amazing natural occurrences in our planet's lakes and seas. When the sun goes down in North Wales in the UK, there's a light show in the water. The bright blue glow is caused by billions of bioluminescent plankton. The tranquility of the water means we can see the light produced through chemical reactions occurring in the plankton's bodies. And the attention-seeking chemical reaction is actually a defense mechanism to attract bigger predators to eat whatever may be eating the plankton. It's an incredible display of nature's weird and wonderful side. In this episode, we've seen Mother Nature show no mercy. We've been exposed to the elements. We've been beaten, battered, and bruised. And next time, there will be more, because deadly weather stops for no one.
This is unreal.
The weather, an uncontrollable force, giving us life and taking it away. As our planet heats up, the weather is getting more extreme,
Guys, we've got cars floating again.
more terrifying,
Avalanche!
and even more catastrophic.
If you're the praying type, please just pray for us, because this is really scary.
With incredible self-shot footage.
I thought Titanic came into my head.
From the front line of fear.
The biggest challenge we have is going against Mother Nature.
It's an extremely challenging environment.
We witness firsthand
What I was feeling was burning from inside out.
the wrath of Mother Nature.
I was saying everything's going to be okay, even though in my head I knew that was a lie.
I'm getting out of here.
It's like your brain doesn't understand what you're seeing.
From twisted tales of terror.
I don't want to die in my store.
Death was right around the corner.
Earth-shattering natural disasters.
Earthquake!
You're dicing with danger. If you're on their way, you die.
And stories of sheer destruction.
Oh my God!
It's all gone.
It looks like World War II.
We meet the people who've stared death in the face
We're not going to get out of this alive.
and survived the full force of the world's deadliest weather.
Really kicking our ass.
Coming up in this episode, Hurricane Florence crashes across North Carolina.
I realized we had to get out immediately.
Creating catastrophic flash flooding.
There's no control, it's just floating at that point.
In Portugal, a top surfer is determined to take on 100-foot waves and win.
I was like, wow, is this thing gonna land on my head or am I gonna outrun it?
And in Anchorage, Alaska, a magnitude 7 monster rips up roads as it tears across town.
It's the only thing I could describe it as like a train coming. When I was like, wow, this is huge.
September 2018, and a threatening Category 4 hurricane named Florence is barreling towards the east coast of the USA. In the firing line is the city of Wilmington, North Carolina. Watching the hurricane closely are storm chasers Gabe Cox and Jeff Mangum, otherwise known as the Tornado Trackers.
We grew up loving tornadoes and decided one day to go out storm chasing.
We started to talk about storms and watch videos of storms, and then eventually started to chase storms together.
Storm chasing is a dangerous pursuit. But while most residents prepare to evacuate, the Tornado Trackers head to North Carolina to document Florence's arrival.
We knew as it approached land that with its sheer size and power, that not only North and South Carolina, but all the states around it were going to feel significant impacts.
As the hurricane approaches land, its power lessens, and Florence becomes a Category 1. Ready and waiting, the Tornado Trackers brace themselves for impact.
There starts to be that excitement, like, okay, it's happening now, let's get into game mode. And it wasn't until the eye wall moved into Wilmington, it ramped up almost instantly, and that's when things started to go flying.
911, what is the emergency?
Do not go outside.
Right now, due to the weather, our units are on lockdown.
As Florence slams into North Carolina, its downgrading lulls the storm chasers into a false sense of security.
I think we expected the winds to be a lot less because it had been a Category 1, but we realized as we positioned ourselves downtown that the wind was actually funneling through the buildings and creating a wind tunnel effect.
The howling of the wind, just the pure, terrifying sound that I had not heard before with a hurricane, and it's unrelenting.
That's when we realized that this wasn't going to be the typical Category 1 that we had experienced in the past, and it was turning into a dangerous situation to be out in.
This is what a Category 1 looks like, everyone.
Amazed by the fearsome strength of Florence, Gabe ventures inside the hurricane's eye wall.
Okay, there's a massive gust up here. I'm gonna take you up to this street, get a good view.
You had these areas where the wind was coming from one direction, but it was shooting through the alley in another direction, and you would have winds well over 100 miles an hour.
Now you know why I'm staying behind this wall.
I was still in the car, and about 5-6 feet to my right, this large beam that was on the roof of this 8 or 9-story building came straight down. And it was the loudest, most frightening sound. It didn't just catch me off guard, it immediately let me know. All it takes is one piece of debris and your life is gone.
As night falls, the Tornado Trackers move from the city streets to an unattended gas station.
To watch something so heavy and so big look like just a little toy that was being tossed aside by the wind. It was not just frightening, but it's humbling. You're also wondering, why am I out here right now? Is this worth it?
I realized, okay, now we're in a really vulnerable situation, and we had to get out immediately.
But the next morning, as they try to make their escape,
oh my God.
Florence unleashes a dangerous sting in her tail. Torrential rain.
It was flooding areas that had never been flooded before. The people were caught off guard. It was a massive natural disaster.
Unprecedented rainfall brings catastrophic flooding across the Carolinas. As residents become trapped in water levels as high as 10 feet in some areas, emergency rescue efforts get underway. Responding to the scene is the US Coastguard and helicopter pilot Rick Williams.
As soon as the storm began to hit landfall, calls started coming in, we immediately launched and headed down south. It was massive amounts of turbulence. We were facing winds from 40 to 70 knots. We started just conducting an overhead search, flying over the houses that looked like they were taking the worst damage and trying to see if anybody needed assistance.
Also helping with the response are mother and son, Chris and Gail Rogers, who drive 200 miles with a rental truck full of supplies.
We saw that Wilmington had gotten hit really hard, that it had flooded around the city. We thought it might be a little adventurous on the way. We would get to see the damage that had been caused by the hurricane. On the way up, we saw plenty of trees down, houses with the water up to their porches.
As they reach Wilmington, Gail and Chris suddenly realize they're driving into danger.
As I got into the water a little bit, I realized that I can't see the road. All I can see is glimpses of yellow lines here and there.
See that yellow line right there?
Yep, that's the right line. I got the left one right here on my other tire. I got them right there in front of me. She was freaking out a little bit, and so I'm trying to make sure that she knows that it's okay.
Oh my God. Christopher!
Come on, calm down.
You could hear the force of the water going across the road. It was very loud.
Oh my God.
By this point, it was pretty high on the truck then, and we thought something was probably going to go wrong.
It's just water as far as you can see, and trucks as far as you can see going, and an 18-wheeler coming the other way just pushed us off the road with their wave.
Go, 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 go. It's lifting us up.
Once that wave of water had hit the truck, there was no wheels on the ground anymore, so there's no control. It's just floating at that point.
You could feel the truck starting to float, start thinking about exit strategy very, very fast.
Later, Carolina residents fight for survival as they become trapped in Florence's floodwaters.
1, 2, 3.
And rescuers brave the most challenging of missions.
You can't train hard enough to prepare yourself to face what Mother Nature is going to throw at you.
Home to some of the biggest waves on the planet is surfing mecca Nazare in Portugal. With an underwater canyon funneling record-breaking swells towards the beach, Nazare is an irresistible playground for big wave surfers like England's Tom Butler.
I won my first English title when I was 11, and then around the age of 21 I really got the bug for big wave surfing. I'm now 30, so I've been riding big waves for like the last 9 years. And when I was 23, I went to Nazare for the first time. In Nazare, you've got like deep water, so the waves just come in and unload on the beach and nothing's stopping it. It's just absolute raw power. Just a freak of nature. It's become a surfing mecca because the biggest waves in the world break there. It's that simple. It's just so exhilarating. You're on a knife's edge, you're holding on as tight as you can with your toes, and then surviving it and pulling out to safety. It's just like absolutely euphoric.
But Nazare's waves are unpredictable and can turn deadly at any moment.
The bigger the wave, the more power it has, the more weight is behind it. So you've got one of them waves landing on top of you, it can cause severe damage to your body or fatality. So there is a lot of risk involved. You're surfing in water, and ultimately water can drown you, you know? Things change very fast in the ocean. You are at the mercy of Mother Nature. It is so damn scary.
It's 2016, and Tom is in Nazare making his debut in a big wave surfing contest.
I had loads of confidence, I had a good surfboard under my feet, well trained, it felt really good. The heats last 45 minutes, so you're under pressure with timing. 10 or 15 minutes had gone by and I hadn't caught a wave. Other competitors around me had just positioned themselves slightly better. Almost been like 25 minutes without a wave. And I was just so hyped up for the occasion, I just said to myself, right, the next big wave what comes, it's like a statement thing, I'm just gonna throw it to the wind and I'm gonna send it. And a big wave came, I just went straight on it. The wind gust at the wrong moment, it got underneath the front of my board and just held me up for a split second. The whole descent down the wave got slowed down and then the wave was just on top of me and just landed square on my back. That was it, game over.
The ocean can be a formidable force, even for the experts. The power of Nazare's colossal waves is too much for this surfer to handle. Tumbling into the water at 50 miles per hour, he's engulfed by a monster swell. Resurfacing to catch a breath, he's near rocks, and a second wave is closing in. A daring jet ski driver swoops in, and it's full throttle as they race to outrun the wave. But Mother Nature is ruthless, and they're eventually swallowed up. Finally, the duo are able to swim to safety, and amazingly, the surfers and their jet ski are in one piece. Western Australia. And this group of reckless surfers are riding dangerous swells created by stormy conditions and winds of up to 60 miles per hour. Jumping into the waves, the daredevils cling onto wakeboard cables which are tied onto the bridge. And one surfer even brings an inflatable shark to the party. They make it out unscathed, but their dangerous exploits could have had potentially fatal consequences. This pair of surfers in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, have found a novel way of launching themselves into the ocean. But things take a disastrous turn as the second surfer finds himself falling into the swell. And slamming against the rocks. Using all his strength, he's finally able to paddle away to his friend. But it's another reminder that you underestimate the ocean at your peril. Back in Nazare, Portugal, a monster 30-foot wave is causing surfer Tom Butler to wipe out.
I just go down like a sack of spuds straight onto my side and just take all the impact. And when you're hitting water at that speed and with that mass coming down on top of you, water feels like concrete. So underwater, I'm like, right, I've got to get back to the surface. Get to the surface and then I'm looking for someone to hopefully come and rescue me on the jet ski, and there's no one around. And then the next wave what landed on my head, that probably held me under for like another 10 seconds, and then another 4 or 5 waves on the head. So by the time I'd hit the beach, I'd probably spent like about 40, 50 seconds underwater. I couldn't get my breath back. It felt like someone had hit me around the ribs with a baseball bat. So I knew at that point it was serious. My lung was starting to collapse and I got part of my ear ripped off. So I was carted off into the ambulance, put on morphine, and then I had 4 days in hospital in Portugal.
Tom may have been battered by Nazare's waves, but he refuses to be beaten by them.
I was on the hospital bed, I gave myself a bit of a pat on the back. I was like, yeah, you didn't do great in the competition, but you sort of shown to the world you're not scared. A lesson learned, you know, you've got to be hungry for competition. You've got to give it your all, but also you have to be calculated. But it gave me more confidence, and it was just like, yeah, come on, Nazare.
And in December 2018, Tom takes on Nazare once again.
It was right in the middle of winter. That's when you're generally going to get the biggest waves in the Atlantic. We seen the storm come in, and we knew it was going to be good. This swell was a freak wave of that session, just one that was a lot bigger than the other waves. Rode the wave like as perfectly as I could, and it was just nuts. Shadow came over me, it went quite dark, and I was like, wow, is this thing going to land on my head or am I going to outrun it? And I was like, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, and then seen the light and it let me go, and that was it. I was in the channel and just, yeah, the glory.
At around 100 feet tall, it was one of the biggest waves ever surfed.
Riding the wave in 2018, put a little bit of closure onto my wipeout from 2016. It's one of them, you know, I'm never going to get one up on nature, but for sure it was like, yes, like you beat me 2 years ago, Nazare, I've kind of clawed my way back at you.
Still to come.
3.
It's a race to rescue people and animals.
There's only so much time you have.
From Hurricane Florence's catastrophic flooding.
There's wind damage, there's down power lines, there's swift water situations.
And a skiing trip nearly turns to tragedy for 2 friends in France. Alaska, in the US, is one of the most active seismic zones on the planet. Due to its location on the northern corner of the Pacific Rim, it's home to 11% of the world's recorded earthquakes. On November 30th, 2018, in the city of Anchorage, the day started like any other day for 16-year-old student Kira Slama.
I was between first and second period. The morning was completely normal. It just felt like any other school day.
Across town, father of 3, Jesse Elmore, is getting his children ready for the day.
It was a Friday morning. My wife, she was getting to sleep in, and I was getting my oldest daughter ready for school.
I was just in the hallway with my friends, and we were just like smiling, goofing around. All of a sudden, you just felt this rumble in the ground.
I was standing in my kitchen, and I felt just a small vibration.
Whoa, earthquake.
And then I heard a loud noise. Only thing I could describe it as like a train coming. That's when I was like, wow, this is huge.
I thought it was a generator at first that was like going crazy. I didn't know what it was. When the lights were out, you could just hear this loud, like stuff was falling, and you didn't really know what it was because you couldn't see it. And then I heard people yell, "It's an earthquake."
It's an earthquake! It's an earthquake!
Anchorage is taking a heavy beating from a magnitude 7 quake. As the tectonic rumblings below reverberate around the city, it causes widespread panic.
Earthquake! Earthquake!
At the airport, flights are grounded as the control center is evacuated. Schools full of terrified teachers and pupils take cover. But for Kira, who's stuck in the hallway, there's nowhere to hide.
We've had earthquake drills in the past where they say to get under your desk and cover your head, but no one knew what to do because we were all in the hallway.
Oh my gosh!
my friends were saying, Kira, get down. And my sister, who was with us, she thought that a piece of ceiling was going to fall on my head, so she told me to get on the ground. And there was like ceiling falling and lights.
I'm on the ground! Get on the ground!
As Kira braces herself, Jesse's priority is his family.
My first thought was, whoa, that's a big earthquake. Second, I was like, where are my children? And I immediately started scrambling, trying to find them, and I hollered for my wife for help.
There are more than 3 million earthquakes every year. Their sheer power can cause colossal damage to buildings and roads and trigger deadly landslides and tsunamis. In Indonesia, a 7.5 magnitude earthquake has rocked Sulawesi Island. Shop CCTV footage shows the moment the earthquake hits. As people run for their lives, the building violently shakes around them. The deadly quake triggered a tsunami and tragically killed more than 2,000 people. Also in Indonesia, a powerful earthquake has struck the island of Lombok. An 18-year-old high school student has been trapped under the rubble for 3 days. A rescue mission is assembled, and using grinding machines, they're able to cut through the concrete and metal. Finally, after 3 hours, the rescuers are able to glimpse the girl in the ruins and miraculously pull her to safety. She is rushed to hospital and unbelievably went on to make a full recovery. In the Philippines, dangerous aftershocks from an earthquake have ruptured a rooftop swimming pool. Water gushes from the pool down onto the street below. And terrified residents, fearing its collapse, run from the 53-floor apartment block. Thankfully, the building remains standing, but it serves as a sobering reminder of the damage natural disasters can cause. Back in Anchorage, Alaska, Kira Slama is stuck in her school corridor at the mercy of a magnitude 7 quake.
The earthquake felt like you were on a roller coaster. The hallway was going like this. There was lots of panic. Teachers had looks of like shock on their face, and there were kids screaming.
Oh my God!
Dad of 3, Jesse Elmore, is trying to protect his children.
Initially, when I turned around and I saw the other 2 children, I was worried about my other daughter, Hazel. She was downstairs, but I didn't 100% know where she was downstairs. So that was the first time I've truly experienced like a sheer panic for where's my child. And then the feeling of I can't stop this, I can't control this. The girls were terrified. The baby starts screaming. Worst case scenario for me with this earthquake was the house falling on us.
Back at Kira's school, the students are still in a state of panic.
After the lights had turned back on, it was like all the drills went out the window and everyone just rushed out.
Oh my gosh, guys! Go! Outside! Let's go! Get out!
There was no like order to anything, it was just chaos.
Oh my gosh, guys!
There were pieces of ceiling on the ground and some lights with glass. I was shocked. You could just see the destruction.
As the terrified students make a run for the playground, the enormity of the situation dawns.
I'm scared. I was shaking so much, I couldn't stop shaking.
Are you shaking? I'm shaking!
There were people like crying and hugging each other. There were people texting their parents and calling them. I was just thinking about the damage inside the school and what our homes would look like when we went home.
Kira heads back to her house, but the carnage is worse than expected.
It was very shocking. The most shocking part, I think, was just seeing the destruction that was caused by the earthquake. All the shelves had broken and stuff had fallen everywhere. It was like walking through a maze.
The earthquake ruptured 25 miles below ground and caused significant damage to buildings and roads. But fortunately, there were no fatalities.
I would definitely say the November 30th earthquake was the scariest day of my life.
Should we go to Mr. Smith?
The whole earthquake it made me think more about natural disasters, how scary they are, and that they are out there.
We were very fortunate with how things turned out. Having seen what occurred to other parts of the town or to what happened to other people, we were very fortunate, we were very blessed, we're very thankful that nothing major happened to us into our home. And so that was a major relief.
Back in North Carolina, and Hurricane Florence has ravaged the coastline and brought with it biblical flooding, putting many lives at risk. Rescuers are out in full force, including Jess Crampton and Chad Gard from the Humane Society of Missouri, who are on a mission to rescue stranded pets.
There's only so much time you have that a dog or cat can survive in flood water, so we have to get in and get them out as quickly as possible.
Jess and Chad receive a desperate plea for help.
We received a phone call from an owner who was frantic that her dog had been left in the trailer because she was stranded in another town affected by the hurricane. The house was in the floodwaters and it was, from what we heard, completely submerged.
They spring into action, but the widespread flooding makes navigating the streets almost impossible.
The entire neighborhood is underwater, and the water is deeper than all the street signs.
The homes were flooded. The devastation was awful.
All you see is the rooftops. Hundreds of homes, it's all gone.
By a stroke of luck, they chance upon an abandoned property matching the description of the dog owner's home.
As we paddled closer to the house, we heard the dog bark inside. We were very excited because we knew we had finally found her and that she was alive. Then it was just a matter of how we were going to get in there and rescue her.
With the home almost completely submerged, it's now a race against time to find a way in.
We attempted entry through the windows first, but there was absolutely no removing the windows. Next, we went for the door. It was our only option.
Whilst delivering aid to those in need, mother and son, Gail and Chris, fall victim to Florence's deadly floodwaters.
It seemed like time kind of slowed down for a second. I kind of had the feeling, is this really happening to us right now? It was very surreal.
I was in fight or flight. I mean, at that point, it was get out of this truck and go.
I immediately went under and was just trying to grab anything that would help me pull up.
It was very helpless, being sucked under the water like that. You're just gone.
Meanwhile, animal rescuers Jess and Chad are desperately trying to save a stricken dog trapped in a flooded home.
1, 2, 3. The door had swollen, so the only way we could do it was we grabbed the rafters on the front porch and we started kicking. For the split second that she went inside the door and I lost visual contact of her, it's nerve-wracking because I don't know what's going on inside the home. I know I have to keep the door open so that she can get back out of the door. I got it. Coming out the front of the boat.
She was sitting on a couch on the other side of the living room, about 6 inches from touching the ceiling.
When we got her in the boat, she was just as sweet as she could be, and she was loving on everybody that was in the boat, and she was very excited. She knew we were there to help her.
But there are still others trapped in the raging floodwaters, as Chris and Gail are now clinging to the back of their truck. Fortunately, 2 people stopped to help.
A couple of trucks had stopped to help us, and the 2 guys were out in the water trying to sling a rope to us.
I tied the rope off to the truck, and she pulled herself back. Seeing my mom crossing the river, I was very anxious. There was a point where she wasn't strong enough to pull herself any farther with this water rushing head towards her.
I could hear him in the background, you know, Mom, keep your head up, keep your head up. You know, keep your face out of the water and everything. So I was trying really hard to concentrate on just staying above water.
As soon as one of the other fellows got in the water and actually grabbed her and pulled her out, that's whenever it was. And now y'all can just pull me out.
Chris and Gail make it to safety thanks to the kindness of strangers. But their terrifying close call leaves them in shock.
I didn't start crying about it until later that evening. That was when it really sunk in that what we had been through and how close we had come to, you know, probably dying.
You always think it can happen to other people, but you never think it's going to happen to you.
Hundreds of residents are still trapped in their homes. So the US Coastguard carry out crucial search and rescue missions.
There's multiple different fronts happening simultaneously. There's wind damage, there's down power lines, there's swift water situations. We're also working with people who may have not had food or water for several days, could be extremely weak. There are babies, there are elderly people, there are people who are in different kind of situations that make each rescue a little different. It's an extremely challenging environment with a lot of things happening at one time.
Florence dumped 8 trillion gallons of rain in North Carolina alone, the equivalent of 12 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. It caused $24 billion of damage, and tragically, 52 people lost their lives. But despite the devastation, there are many heroes of the hurricane.
The helicopters and the fixed-wing aircraft flew 338 search and rescue missions. We saved 284 lives. Seeing all the people, both in the Coast Guard and in the communities around that come together to help people, you still see the best in people following these storms. And to see that firsthand is extremely satisfying to me.
Animal rescuers Jess and Chad have saved the life of Soshi the dog and head back to dry land to reunite her with her owner.
It's a miracle that dog was alive.
Dogs and cats, animals they're just like family. They're just like your own kids. That's why we do what we do.
Having such a wonderful ending with this one made it very special to us.
And it's also an experience that mother and son, Gail and Chris, will never forget.
I've definitely learned water is nothing to mess around with. It's much more powerful than you ever think it's going to be. It was very frightening.
We got really lucky. Really lucky.
Due to its record-breaking flood levels, Florence was a once-in-a-thousand-year event.
To see Mother Nature in its truest form, in its raw power, is really an amazing thing to witness.
But it's a stark reminder that you should never underestimate the power of the weather.
Mother Nature's unforgiving. The sea is unforgiving, the wind's unforgiving. It's extremely powerful, and it's often underestimated. You can't train hard enough to prepare yourself to face what Mother Nature's going to throw at you.
Châtel, a bustling ski resort in the French Alps. In January 2015, ski buddies Dennis Corbett and Colin Gomez take a trip to the pretty Alpine village. But unfortunately, they aren't blessed with good weather.
It had snowed maybe like 1.5 meters, and it was always like bad weather.
It was snowing like hell. It was just every day it was snowing.
For off-piste skiing, we were looking for a lot of powder, so we were all really happy having these kind of conditions.
But as every experienced skier knows, the bigger the snowfall, the bigger the risk.
It was snowing so much that we knew that the avalanche risk was getting higher and higher every day.
Dennis and Colin have all but given up hope of hitting the off-piste slopes when the weather takes a turn.
When we woke up, it was really blue sky and everything, so we were kind of in a hurry to go skiing and to be able to enjoy the snow, but at the same time we knew that it was going to be a really dangerous day.
We know that for the first sunny day we will want to go in off-piste and to try something cool, but we have to keep focused.
Eager to make the most of the good weather, Dennis and Colin make their way up the mountains. But just as they're about to tackle their first off-piste slope, they begin to have second thoughts.
It's like really serious time. Like, we are here to have fun, but you got to get serious at some point because it's a risky kind of activity. And we had to choose whether we want to ski it or if we just want to go back and leave the place.
We looked at the snow, we looked at how the slope was, so the steepness.
At the end of the day, after debating and trying to see all the hints we could have about the snow, we decided to go down.
Having just seen a group of skiers tackle the slope without incident, the friends decide to take the risk. And Colin is the first to take the plunge.
I'm skiing down the face. I'm taking my time because I want to test the snow. I want to see if it's safe or not. I just decided I'm gonna stop in this place because I'm safe, and I'm just gonna watch Dennis skiing to make sure that nothing will happen to him.
I started to ride quite fast at the top to not put too much pressure on the snow so that I don't trigger anything. And then I arrived in the steepest part of the face where I had to jump a little rock, and I decided to go for it. And when I landed is where it all went wrong. I had this line, like this snow line in front of me, and the moment I understood it was the crack of the avalanche, I was already skiing on it.
When I saw the big track, I told to myself, I hope Dennis, you will just go straight and jump this little bump, this track, and you will be able to escape the avalanche.
At that point, I knew that I was gonna get buried by the avalanche, and then I fell. It's like the washing machine. You don't know if your face is up or down. I was pulled for maybe, I guess it was something like 200 meters. He was under the snow and then the snow covered him. At this moment I knew that it was a serious avalanche.
Avalanches kill more than 150 people every year. If you're buried under snow, on average, you can only survive for 18 minutes. In Utah,
Oh my God! No way, yo, that just broke on me. Woo! That was so sketchy!
luckily for him, he avoids being buried.
Witness Avalanche season. Be careful. Powder Mountain. We're alive and well. It's all good. Oh my gosh.
At the foot of Mount Elbrus, Russia, a massive avalanche bears down on a car park. The onlookers witness the sheer power of Mother Nature as cars are pushed back with terrifying ease. Trapped beneath the sheer weight of the snow, the cars are damaged, but luckily there were no reported injuries. In Vasilitsa, Greece, a skier is enjoying the snow when he happens to glance behind him. Avalanches can reach 80 miles per hour in under 5 seconds, giving very little reaction time. But this skier thinks fast and grabs a nearby tree. Helping him survive the snow tsunami. Back in the French Alps, off-piste skier Dennis has just been struck by the full fury of an avalanche.
Once everything stops, you get really compacted in the snow. You're trapped. You can't move a finger. It's like in a concrete coffin.
Buried beneath the snow, Dennis's only hope is friend Colin.
I had to act fast. I passed my transceiver into search mode in order to be able to capture the signal from Dennis' transceiver. And then you have to do what we call a zigzag search to find the exact spot where your friend is.
Luckily, some nearby skiers stop to help, but it's a race against time to save him.
I thought, okay, you might die here. I got a bit dizzy by the lack of oxygen and I kind of fell asleep under the snow.
A few minutes, like a very long time, because I was just yelling at Dennis, hoping he will be able to answer me.
Dennis, est-ce que tu m'entends? Dennis, est-ce que tu m'entends?
But then when I had the first signal, everything went super fast.
Ramenez-vous, ramenez-vous! Il est là, il est là!
We were able to find his leg, and then we started to shovel and to find his head.
And the next thing I know is that I feel the snow moving above me. That's the moment when I realized, okay, maybe I'm gonna get out of here.
Colin and a group of fellow skiers managed to dig a dazed Dennis out of the snow. And incredibly, apart from a torn ligament in his knee, Dennis walks away unscathed. But both men have learned a valuable lesson from the experience.
When you have a super day with super conditions, but you know there's a part of risk, and so you have to take the right decisions.
In the mountains, you got to stay really humble because no matter how much safety equipment you have, how much skills, how much knowledge, at the end of the day, it's always the mountain that is going to win if something goes wrong.
Extreme weather can keep us on our toes, but not always on our feet. In Beijing, China, heavy snow and ice along the Great Wall are making it a pretty tricky trek for these tourists. Even those who hold the handrail are struggling to stay standing, thanks to a particularly freezing February. And though the tourist attraction might be a man-made construct, Mother Nature's showing everyone who's boss by ensuring the temperature isn't the only thing falling. Even professionals struggle to keep on top of things from time to time, like this daredevil snowboarder in Finland. After losing his balance, there's only one way he's heading. At least it's a soft landing. In Colorado, the US, This woman desperately struggles against strong winds to shut the lid of her hot tub. She's nothing but persistent. And it looks like her hard work has paid off, only for Mother Nature to put our hot tub heroine in her place, squashed inside the lid. Finally, she admits defeat and calls time on her epic battle. In this episode, we've seen the full force of Mother Nature's fury. We've seen her give it everything she's got.
Oh my gosh, guys! Go! Outside! Let's go! Get out!
We've watched her tear down, rip up, and destroy everything in sight.
Oh my God.
And next time, there will be more, because deadly weather stops for no one.